Kevin, and that relief is much needed in the next few days, considering we will be in the thick of it as that heat dome continues to expand and push through other parts of Ontario, Quebec, and even Atlantic Canada. It looks calm and serene with our Toronto Harbour Cam just now. It is not calm and serene in other parts of the province. 25, feeling closer to 31. That humidity has been building for the second day of astronomical summer. This severe storm we've been watching for very closely. There's a lot of energy associated with this, and of course it is fueled by heat. The risk for tornadoes cannot be ruled out later this afternoon and potentially into the evening for namely parts of central and northern Ontario. So we're looking at Sudbury and Timmins. As a system crashed through the shores of Lake Huron, it began to weaken, but the risk is not over yet. And we're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings in place over Sudbury, severe thunderstorm watches towards other parts of northern Ontario. Not seeing it expanded just yet for other parts of cottage country. The culprit, as we mentioned, is that heat. What has expanded is these excessive heat warnings, so feeling closer to 45 heading into next week, Monday and Tuesday, and little relief in the overnight with some of these lows reaching the 25-degree mark. And it has been quite sweltering looking towards Windsor. It's not good when you start to see that purple color pop up in the map. Temperatures feeling upwards of 40 degrees for many communities in the next few days. Now, the risk for severe weather, as we mentioned, expecting it around cottage country originally. So we were looking at maybe Peterborough, Tweed into Kingston region and up towards Barrie even, affected by this later this evening and into the overnight. But things are changing. The system seems to be shifting further towards Quebec now. Now, will we rule out the risk of severe weather later tonight? I won't say you're out of the woods just yet, so keep a watchful eye for that later tonight and into tomorrow afternoon around cottage country yet again, pushing into the evening. This is not going to affect Toronto too much, aside from the fact that you'll see some gusting winds earlier in the day. 35 degrees, your high feeling closer to 45. Kevin?
Thanks, Noor. Many can All right, time for a check-in on the weather. We have weather specialist Noor Rafat. Now, Noor, big heat wave coming, so what does that mean for us?
Yeah, it's a lot of things, Kevin. First and foremost, the risk of heat stroke, heat exhaustion for many communities that are affected by that heat wave. But we know thunderstorms love heat and they love moisture, and we've got the perfect setup for some serious storms in the next 24 hours. The risk for thunderstorms cannot be ruled out later this week as well. Well, that risk for serious storms is affecting eastern parts of Ontario, parts of cottage country, around northeastern and central Ontario, along with Quebec. Not so much going to touch the Toronto region as of right now, but you will notice potentially some gusting winds earlier in the morning, gusting up to 45 maybe, and then settling down towards 30 to 35 The heat and humidity continues, though, and it's going to be quite something come tomorrow. 35, feeling closer to 45. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other in the next few days, because this is going to continue. Here is that ridge in the jet stream, and with it you're seeing the highest heat shifting further and further east with some of those concerning temperatures also around parts of Montreal, feeling closer to the mid-40s over there. Relief into large parts of the prairies. That's good news with some rain that they're expecting, but this severe heat dome is baking at least half of continental USA, and some of the hardest hit areas at this hour, Denver and Iowa, 37, feeling closer to 41, and it continues to fuel some storms along with it. Namely, this low pressure system, it pushed through into the shores of Lake Huron, started to weaken, but the risk isn't over just yet. And we were expecting originally that risk once again to be for southern parts of Ontario, namely cottage country, eastern parts of Ontario as well later this evening. It does seem to be tracking further towards Quebec, so we'll keep a watchful eye, but don't expect to be out of the woods yet later tonight. Tomorrow, the risk continues for severe thunderstorms, Peterborough into Muskoka, along the Kingston region into the afternoon and pushing into the evening. Now, in the next few days, as that heat wave continues, we will see some active weather up to the north in Ontario Monday, potentially into Tuesday, but eventually it will translate into southern sections and southwestern sections of Ontario later Tuesday and then later on during the week. So the risk of flooding right now exists around Sault Ste. Marie, some of the hardest hit areas with those thunderstorms. It's shifting further towards Quebec, but we were expecting shifting it earlier around parts of cottage country. So don't be surprised if you see those downpours, because once again, we're not out of the woods yet as these models keep changing. 34 in Hamilton tomorrow, 28 Oshawa, 26 for our friends in Cobourg, and 31 in Peterborough. Feeling closer to 44 on Monday. Here are those thunderstorms on Tuesday, and then managing to cool down heading towards Friday. Still a risk of thunderstorms expected. 27 degrees for Saturday.
Cleanup blitz earlier today. Promisement Canada has issued a heat warning for the city starting tomorrow and lasting until Tuesday. In response, the City of Toronto is activating its heat relief plan. That means over 500 designated cool spaces are available. Many outdoor pools will have extended hours, and street outreach is being boosted to provide support for people experiencing homelessness. Let's bring in weather specialist Noor Rafat with more. Hey, Noor.
Hey, thanks very much, Kevin. And that relief will be very important in the next few days as we settle into some high humidity into the next few days, including at this hour in Toronto. It has been getting hotter and hotter hour by hour heading into the evening, feeling closer to 34 degrees outside the Toronto airport. Gusts have been strong, predominantly from the south, so a lot more warmer air has been pushing through. And here is a look at some of those severe storms just now. We know they weakened earlier today, but they have been gaining momentum around parts of northern and central Ontario, also pushing towards parts of cottage country. We're seeing those severe thunderstorm warnings in place. Our friends in Bancroft, parts of Algonquin as well, and Hastings Highlands, including in some of those severe thunderstorm warnings, as these severe thunderstorms track further east at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So the risk here is Toonie-sized hail, gusting winds up to 100 kilometers per hour. Of course, downpours expected, and we cannot rule out the risk of a tornado heading into the overnight hours. The risk continues also through parts of Quebec. That's mostly where the system is shifting. No surprise that we're seeing such activity with such high humidity expected in the next few days, up to 45 degrees with the humidex values, and no relief in the overnight, feeling closer or measuring closer to 25 degrees or up to 25 degrees in the next few days. It is hot in Windsor, 37 with that humidity. It's also been getting hotter over there hour by hour. Here's a look at how things will progress overnight tonight into Tweed, Ottawa, Kingston, and Peterborough. Some of this activity is expected, and it starts to bubble up right back again early tomorrow morning. Barrie, Muskoka, Peterborough, and the Kawartha Lakes area. This could continue into your afternoon, but it does look like there will be some dry breaks heading into the evening. How will this affect Toronto? Well, not a whole lot when it comes to rain or thunderstorms, but could see some gusting winds. The big story, though, will be the severe temperature change. 35, feeling closer to 45 tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and of each other. Kevin?
Thanks, Noor. Saturday is... All right, time for a check-in on the weather. We got weather specialist Noor Rafat. Now, Noor, with the heat coming, you better find some AC. Like this is going to be pretty serious.
Yes, and your AC is going to be holding on to dear life in the next few days. It's going to be quite the stretch of hot and humid temperatures, and it's dangerous for spending time outdoors, of course, but dangerous when it comes to the risk of very active weather. We've got some more of those storms on the way heading into the evening and overnight, possibly into the next few days as well. Well, not going to see a whole lot when it comes to precipitation come tomorrow in Toronto. Not expecting thunderstorms, but expecting some gusting winds at times. Up to 40 kilometers per hour could be possible. The big story will be the high heat and high humidity. 35 your high, but feeling closer to 45. And that is going to be some dangerous heat that will continue through the next few days. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. The ridge in the jet stream clear as day, and with that we are seeing some concerning temperatures, as we mentioned, pushing through large parts of central and eastern Canada. We'll touch parts of the Maritimes with these highs into the 30s come this upcoming week. Relief, though, for the prairies, which is great news, along with some rain that they're experiencing. Good news for those wildfires. But it's that high heat and high humidity that is fueling some of these storms to some dangerous levels, and it is packing quite some energy. As we mentioned, there is still that risk for very serious weather heading into the overnight. The risk continues for severe thunderstorms through the course of Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, but in northern parts of the province, especially, again, with that humidity continuing. But we can't can't rule out the risk in southern Ontario come tomorrow. So once again, we're looking at cottage country where we could be seeing some of these severe thunderstorms around parts of Kingston as well, maybe Quinte West, into the Belleville area. And then by Monday, we're expecting clear skies, dry skies, lots of sunshine. Tuesday, we could see some more of that thunderstorm activity pop up around southwestern Ontario in the evening, around the Toronto region in the evening as well, and around the shores of Lake Ontario. So it's going to be an on and off situation where we'll see that thunderstorm activity even move in later on come this upcoming week, but you will get a break as early as Monday when it comes to those communities that are expected to see it, Peterborough namely into Huntsville. Again, Toronto not expected to see thunderstorms come tomorrow. Downpours looks to be expected around the Sault Ste. Marie area. That's where we've got some risk of flooding. Risk of flooding, it seems, around New York State. 25 in Windsor tonight, up to 36 come tomorrow, and they're feeling closer to the upper 40s with the humidex. Milton 33 degrees, 24 in Cobourg, 31 in Peterborough with those thunderstorms. It will feel closer to 44 on Monday. That is some serious heat. 41 on Tuesday, and then things start to cool down by Wednesday. Here comes that risk of thunderstorms later on for the end of the week, climbing